Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now at this point, for me, I've been into firearms for a little bit more than a year. It was about a year ago that I started buying my first firearms, and well, at this point, a year in, I've learned a whole bunch about being a gun owner, about all the different things that go into that, and that includes the accessories. More specifically, optics. And when you're getting started, it's a vast world. There's a ton to learn, so there's a lot of different directions you can go, and there's a ton of companies out there. And so in today's video, we're gonna look at what I'm gonna call a budget brand, probably some entry optics that if you're a beginner trying to get started, these may be a reasonable option for you. And so a couple of different rifle scopes. For me personally, I've really enjoyed getting into rifle shooting. I have the Ruger 1022. It's my go-to at this point. I've outfitted it with a number of different optics to try some different things, and I thought these Pinty rifle scopes would be a great place to try just another option. A couple of different variations, a couple of different types, and really explore for me what types of optics work and don't work, and maybe these are a great option to get somebody started. And so today's video, more of a first look and first impression. I will have follow-up videos on each of these, getting them mounted, fully set up, and then some range testing. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Pinty who did provide these for review. And so, of course, as I mentioned in the intro, I am basically a novice. When it comes down to it, a year with firearms experience is really not that much. And given the amount of time I can truly spend dedicated in maybe more than most, simply because I need to, sharpen up a little bit. I've been practicing a good amount, and I need to kind of run this channel and hopefully have an idea or two about things. But for the most part, a year is not enough time to really learn nor be proficient. So this video today coming more from the novice perspective, but some of the considerations that you may want to make if you're getting into firearms, more specifically rifles, and when you're looking at some optics. And so this one here is a 3-to-9 power 40mm objective lens. It is battery operated and has a red and a green reticle. So we'll see how this looks once we get this thing up and running. Now, Pinty states that this is shock and recoil proof, which would be great. Fully coated lenses, and it's made of aircraft grade aluminum alloy. So as we get into this here, we'll see everything that this comes with, but you'll notice this is fairly well shaped like your traditional rifle scope. All things considered, seems to be packaged fairly well. And here you can see this Pinty 3-to-9 times scope. So pretty straightforward. Here you can see it does come with caps on both the sort of ocular lens and the objective lens, which is nice. These appear to be flip-up caps. Let's see. They are a little stiff, but yes, they do flip up. So these are spring-loaded, and you'll notice they do flip up. Now, I think if you're not careful, you'd probably just end up yanking these straight off, but maybe over time, these will loosen up just a bit. But again, as I mentioned, just a little bit stiff getting these to pop out. That's my sort of first impression. So you do end up yanking on that just a little bit. And then on the eyepiece side, that's easier. So that one seems to be more suitable. You'll notice that works nicely. So this one here, just a little bit tight for some reason. And I wonder if I can kind of play with that and get it adjusted. I mean, that means it's not going to fly open, but at the same time, I mean, you really need to kind of pop that open to make it work. These caps here, unthreading for your adjustment knobs. And it looks like if you're careful, you should be able to get on this. Yep. We'll get into that. I think, let's see. All right, so these are quarter click adjustments. So basically, depending on what type of scope you get, you may have a different adjustment. So these look to be a quarter minute, I believe, but we'll verify that for sure. So both in elevation and windage, the threads seem to be reasonable, and you'll notice pretty easy to get on these. I don't know if these are gasketed. It seems like it is. I believe that is gasketed, so it should help with this being a little bit weather resistant. So here you have your magnification, so 3 times to 9 times. Basically, that's pretty smooth and actually stiff enough yet fairly easy to move, so that feels pretty nice. So that's good, and everything in between. So again, 3 to 9 times power. Here, a selector switch, so this goes through the different modes. Now, there are instructions with this, but they are mediocre at best. They're fairly generic. They're not specific to this particular rifle scope, and they're, I don't know, reasonably translated, but in a number of different languages, and it's not incredibly helpful. So I'm definitely going to learn a little bit about this as we get into it. Again, you know, as somebody who's fairly new to firearms and fairly new to optics, I'm just going to have to play with this to figure it out. But this on top should be a battery compartment. And as I unthread this here, yes. So you can see this will hold essentially a button battery, which this does come with. So CR2032. We're going to actually get this into place while I'm at it here. And I'm not certain, but I am going to put it words up and see how this goes. This is very easy to get on. It's pretty much like a thumb screw. And then at that, it's got a slot where you could use a coin, but I don't see any reason to need to really crank down on that. Popping this open for a split second. Ooh, this is pretty. So yes, this definitely works. Okay. So right away I can tell this is basically the green side. So as you switch between the green, the intensity of 1 through 5, and then the red side from 1 through 5. And as you look on the inside, you can clearly see the crosshair. So that's in red. So the reticle there, really nice. And as I dial, the intensity is getting brighter and brighter and then off. And then the green side, again, really nice. And then the intensities, different modes. So I'll play with that. It's hard to say. The camera does adjust a little bit, so that's not going to be completely accurate. But that is just really nice. So far, I'm pretty impressed. But we'll see. You know, it all depends on how easily I can get this dialed in and how accurate my shots end up being. So that's your basic setup. Now, the nice thing about this is it does also come with your rings. So your scope rings already come with it. That is super nice. And all the hardware. So you end up with your Allen key, your hex wrench, and your ability to mount this. Now again, I'm not going to get into the mounting today. That's going to be for another video. But what I can say is, looking at these scope rings right away, I might have the ability to see my iron sights straight through this. So these are high enough that I'm going to get the benefit of being able to use the scope and my iron sights, which is pretty cool. So I'm hoping these will be reasonable, nice and sturdy, fairly tight, and have reasonable grip on the scope itself, and nothing slides. So again, that is the 3 to 9 power 40 millimeter. They say these are coated. I don't know if there's any real way to tell, but sometimes you get a nice sort of glow of color off the front of these. Sometimes they're reddish, sometimes they're blue. Hard to say for sure, but we'll take their word for it. So again, pretty nice. And just one final note. This is, and I'm not sure if they call that like a diopter adjustment. I know if this was, say, for example, like a, you know, monocular or something, that would be called the diopter adjustment. But this is what you use to really sort of fine tune it to your eyes to get your reticle basically in focus. Now, for me, I can just leave it at 0. Everything seems to be fine coming from the factory, but if you needed to dial that in, you certainly could. And so this one here, this is what Pinty is calling a 2.5 to 10 power by 40 millimeter mil-dot tactical rifle scope with red laser. So it's kind of a little bit of a combination unit. It is a compact scope. And again, Pinty calling it the mil-dot style. So we'll take a look at this in detail. You can see a number of different batteries, some accessories, a little cleaning cloth, your sort of instructions here, and then the actual rifle scope itself. So here again, coming with some caps, and you can see that aluminum construction. As we take these caps off, actually these are like filters. These aren't just caps. If you notice here, these are yellow tint. So that's kind of nice. So these, again, not only going to protect your optics, but they are sort of filters. I'm going to remove these for the moment. Again, taking a look, this does have your adapter. So this actually will literally go right on your pick rail or weaver rail. We'll find out what this fits. Hopefully this fits my 1022 without any modification. That would be a pain in the neck, but we'll find out. Battery compartment here on the side, and your elevation and windage adjustment knobs. So as, you can see that clicks right away. So if you're not careful, unthreading the top. Okay, so here again, that is your elevation adjustment. 1/4 minute from what I can tell. I can't say for sure that this is gasketed, but I believe the cap has a little O-ring on it. It's very subtle, but that should help with water resistance. Feels like there's a little bit of play at the end here, but we'll find out for sure. And then here, the cap for your windage. And yeah, again, that's nice. But video number 2 will be a nice follow-up, because at that point, I'm going to have my thoughts in line, and I will be a little bit more secure in what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, first impressions, construction seems sound. All of the threads seem solid. Nice big chunky knobs. That's not a big deal. I think that'll be fine. And I actually like the fact that this bar should give you nice even, sort of tension across the top of your rail. So that should just evenly distribute that sort of clamping force. So that's going to be nice. Now again, in the back, the ability to adjust your focus. So I probably won't mess with that much. And then your multiplier. So here, 2.5 times power up to 10. So this should actually be a pretty nice size optic for my typical shooting, right in a range that's going to do a real good job for me. And then on this side here, you do have a red dot laser. So it'll be interesting to see how this is all adjusted. You do have little adjustment knobs here for elevation and windage to help dial this in. And then the button in the back. Now, I do have a number of batteries. We're going to get this going here. Again, fairly generic instructions. These are not specific to this particular rifle scope, but it does give you some basic understanding and some ideas how to get things established. That little cleaning cloth, and then the batteries here. So this should be the CR2032. This is going to go for the actual reticle, which on the side here you can see. And I don't understand, because this I think is going to be the power for the brightness. So we'll have to see how this all works out. This is going to be interesting. Now here on top you can see the red mode. So when it says R, that's off. And as I scroll here, it does go through the brightness, and then to the G mode, which is green, which again is off, but then I scroll through. So as you take a look, you can see here as I get that turned on, pretty nice. You can have a little bit of a hard time seeing just because, I'm trying to demonstrate that on camera. You'll get a better sense of this in the second video. Again, this is just first impressions, but as I scroll through the modes, different brightness levels, this is actually going down. So you can see it is dimming out a bit, and then off, and here green, so that's the brightest, and dimming down. So pretty cool. For the laser, the back here, unthreads, 3 batteries. I am putting words up So we'll see how that goes. Oh yeah. Threading that cap back in. There you can see there's your laser. So easy on, easy off. That's kind of nice. Really cool. Just a neat little combo unit. So as we get into it again, I'm going to learn a lot about all these little adjustment knobs. You know, I'm sure many of you are watching this. You are much more familiar. But have no fear, I will have a pretty good sense of this for my actual full review once I get things dialed in a little bit and play with it and start to understand these adjustments. Again, this is fairly new to me, but that's the fun of all of this. That's why I love hosting a YouTube channel. Forces me to get into this stuff, forces me to get my hands on new gear, try different things from, you know, things that I'm familiar with and things that I'm going to learn about. And guess what? That makes me familiar with it in the future. And that's half the battle here, getting into firearms ownership. And so again, for me, half the battle is literally just getting my hands on these things, finding the time, putting in the practice, doing the research. And now that I've taken a look at these, it makes me think, well, what do I need to know for video part number 2? So in my next videos, it will be an individual video for each one of these units, both the 3x9 full-length rifle scope and the 2.5x10 military style. So both of these will get some dedicated time here in the studio, getting things set up, and then out at the range for full field testing. And so again, to the people at Pinty, I would like to say thank you very much for providing these for review. And for the rest of you, if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, outdoor backpacking experiences. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, flashlights, backpacks, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.